Breaking news, Prince Harry is in court today to get his grubby little hands on taxpayer-funded security. And in court, he just blamed the royal family for not protecting him and Meghan Markle. And you won't believe what else has come out of his gob this morning. Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef the Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to the Dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the royal news and gossip of the day that's pretty much caught me eye. And oh my goodness, yeah, let's jump into this madness, shall we? Because this morning Prince Harry has been in court and he is blaming the royals for not protecting Meghan Markle, which led to Megxit and so much more. So let's get into the breaking news and a little bit of a recap of this morning's proceedings. They are going to come back this afternoon, so there'll be a further video later on to recap what happened in the afternoon. In the meantime, though, Prince Harry is claiming that he was singled out for inferior treatment in the High Court appeal over his security. And here is the kicker. Hazard in court blaming the royals for not protecting Meghan Markle. And so here is the Independent reporting saying that Hazard and Megxit felt forced to step back from their roles as senior working royals as they felt they were not being protected by the institution, the Court of Appeal was told. And so we know they quit over 5 years ago, back in January 2020. They wish to continue their duties in support of the late Queen as privately funded members of the royal family, the Duke's barristers told a hearing this morning. In written submission, Shahid Fatima KC, who's representing Hazard, said, quote, on the 8th of January 2020, Hazard and his wife felt forced to step back from the role of full-time official working members of the royal family as they considered they were not being protected by the institution, but they wish to continue their duties in support of the late Queen as privately funded members of the royal family. In other words, Hazard's turning around and saying, "Wah, we had no choice but to leave because the royal family wasn't protecting me and Megxit, so we had to leave. We were more than happy to support the late Queen Elizabeth II in a private capacity as privately funded royals," whatever the hell that means. Is it privately funded as in, they get the money themselves, Hazard and Megxit, to fund themselves to support the Queen? Or is it privately funded as in the Queen, the monarch, the royal family privately funds Hazard and Megxit? Who knows, right? Who knows? But here, in court, Hazard is, as far as I'm concerned, blaming the royals that Megxit happened because they didn't protect him and Megxit. Oh, cry me a freaking river. What an absolute moron. If he thinks this argument is going to win him this appeal, I think he's very, very sorely mistaken. Now, let's get through a little bit more of a recap of what happened this morning in court for Prince Hazard. And so the Home Office is fighting back. So in written submissions for the Home Office, barrister Sir James Eady KC, representing them, said that Hazard's appeal involved a continued failure to see the wood for the trees, saying that the Home Office has and continues to treat Hazard in a bespoke manner. He's no longer a member of the cohort of individuals whose security position remains under regular review by RAVIC. Rather, he's brought back into the cohort any appropriate circumstances and in light of consideration of any given context. He stressed that the approach was a matter of the judgment of RAVIC, which the judge in the previous court case had found to be lawful. In other words, Home Office is turning around and saying the court has no place to decide whether or not Hazard is entitled to 100% taxpayer-funded UK security whenever he and Megxit and the kids come to UK. The court doesn't decide that. It's RAVIC that decides that. And the previous court agreed with the Home Office stance on that. And the Home Office is just reminding this appeals court that, hey up, the other courts have agreed with us, step in line. And I do hope they step in line on this. Now, in his ruling, the judge in the court case previous found that Prince Harry had relied upon an inappropriate formalist interpretation of how Ravik conducts security arrangements and a mechanistic, overly literal approach which was misconceived, adding that the appeal is fairly to be characterised in the same way. It involves a continued failure to see the wood for the trees, advancing propositions available only by reading small parts of the evidence, and now the judgment out of context and ignoring the totality of the picture. So even the judge prior, who completely shut down Hazza and his fight to try and get UK taxpayer-funded security, even turned around and said, yeah, Hazza is an option to appeal, but he's destined to fail. He is destined to fail. Now, on Hazza's side, Shahid Fatima KC said that Ravik's reasoning to not carry out a risk assessment board does not stack up. So them not carrying out a risk management board assessment doesn't stack up. She says, quote, the lack of scrutiny led to the judge wrongly accepting Ravik's evidence, and that evidence says that a so-called bespoke process makes much more sense for the appellant than the RMB, which is the risk management board. Does not make sense when one considers in detail the expert analysis that the RMB assessment involves. It's impossible to speculate whether the appellant would be in the same position had he been given the benefit of the process. Later adding, we say in the present case that the need for the RMB assessment was part of the procedure, but also a benefit. But this is the thing, right? Can't see the wood for trees because ultimately, right, the previous court and the judge ruled that the court doesn't have a say in terms of who Ravik protects and who they don't, this, that, and the other. It's Ravik to decide, not the court. And here, as far as I'm concerned, Hazza and his team are just pushing the same arguments, the same tropes at the appeals court, hoping that something will stick. And I hope the appeals court does take notice, serious notice, of the lower court and is like, well, hang on a minute. The lower court says that they don't have a place to make a decision on behalf of Ravik. Ravik make their own decisions and that's it, right? The court doesn't have a say in it. Why do you think that the appeal court would have a say in it? Come the frick on. And here, you know, again, still using the same arguments rather than trying to argue, well, hang on a minute. No, the lower court was wrong in saying that the court doesn't have a say-so in Ravik's decision-making or not, and this is why. They're not addressing that. Instead, they're trying to address why Hazza is entitled to this security arrangement. But that's not the argument here. What is his team doing? Here, in written submissions for Hazza, some of which were redacted for confidentiality reasons, again, his KC, Shahid Fatima, said that Al-Qaeda had called for Harry to be unalived after Ravik's decision in February 2020 to change the level of security Hazza was given whilst in the UK. That the group had published a document which stated that his assassination would please the Muslim community. She also mentioned the dangerous car pursuit with paparazzi in New York and the reckless disregard of vehicle and traffic laws. Yeah, and her reckless disregard of the other evidence that's out there that counters Hazza and Meg's story that this ever happened in the first place. Come on! She continues saying the judge wrongly and inappropriately deferred to Ravik in interpreting the terms of reference and evaluation criteria for decision making. The judge failed to appreciate the role of the risk management board analysis in Ravik's decision making. The judge erred in finding the terms of reference granted Ravik the discretion to simply not use the terms of reference in certain cases. Again, to me, this is a lot of wordplay. It's a lot of word salad. This KC must obviously have had lessons from Megzy, let's put it that way. And again, is not actually countering the argument and the ruling that was made in the lower court, which was essentially this. Ravik has their own autonomy to make their own decisions and their own and how they make their decisions. It's not for the court to decide how they make the decisions and what decision they arrive to. It's all on Ravik, right? That's essentially what the lower court ruled. Again, I'm saying this until I'm freaking blue in the face. Hazza's team is not actually addressing that. They're not turning around and saying, no, actually, this is why the court does have a say-so in Ravik's decision-making and the decision that they get to. They're really not. All they're doing, as far as I'm concerned, is providing examples of why they think Hazza should get fully taxpayer UK-funded security whenever he, Megxie and the kids come to the UK without having to go through the application process 28 days before they come, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he definitely cannot see the wood for the trees. And if he thinks he's going to get any support from the royal family whatsoever, again, he is sorely mistaken. Because King Charles did not meet up with Hazza before his High Court date. And this is all according to reports. The pair believed to have last met just after King Charles announced his cancer diagnosis last year in February 2024. So it's believed that Hazza has not seen King Charles, his dad, in over a year. In over a year. So yeah, if he thinks that the royal family is somehow going to come to his rescue and intervene, it just ain't going to happen. And even if they wanted to intervene, they couldn't anyway, to be fair. But going around full circle, as that is a little bit of an overview of what's happened in this morning's proceedings. Breaking news. Prince Harry, in court, is blaming the royals for not protecting Megxie, which then led to them causing Hazza and Megxie to leave the royal family. What the hell? What the cockamamie is this BS? Oh my goodness. There is more to come. Court will reconvene this afternoon, and I safely assume more news will be coming out in those proceedings. So if you don't want to miss those updates and any further breaking news that's coming out in court today, then on your way out, please make sure you subscribe to join our alternate tribe. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. Do you think Prince Harry actually is going to win this appeal? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces. And until the next time, you guys, laters.